Hello, welcome to another round of Championship predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage, and with me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap of what happened in the midweek action, match day 7. And it was a very good midweek for Daniel Cody. Two perfect scores for him, and that was the 1-1 draw between Wigan and West Brom, and Watford's late winner in a 2-1 victory against Middlesbrough. Other than that, he got pretty much correct outcomes for his predictions. So overall, the best score so far is 12 points for him, and he wins match day 7. Let's move on to match day 8. We don't need to talk about my scores. You saw it on the screen. It was poor. So let's start off with West Bromwich Albion versus Burnley. West Brom drew again, 1-1 at Wigan, and Burnley beat Millwall by 2-0.
Yeah, and for all we've said about Millwall's poor start, Burnley were really good in that game. They had a lot of the ball. They converted it into good chances, and they converted a couple of those into goals. So a textbook performance, the sort of game that gives you confidence they might be right up there this year. And in all competitions, that's 3 wins in a row now, and the last 2 very good ones in the Championship. West Brom, it's just that cutting edge, isn't it? Again, 2/3 of the ball. Didn't create a huge amount of chances. Still not got all of their strikers back. Carlin Grant is still popping up with ones, though. You just feel like they're close. They have got a really decent side. They're still in the mix, but 1 win out of 7 looks poor. 1 defeat looks great, but 5 draws out of 7, they're not going to be able to get away with that all season. So this is a really important game for West Brom. I mean, you already know what score I'm going to go for. You don't need telling, do you? It's the Championship's favourite scoreline of 1-1, because what else would you predict?
No, I predicted Burnley win. That's what I'm going to do. West Brom, once again, last time I said they were boring, they went on to score 5. And once again, they were boring. I think even Steve Bruce said, I'm glad I didn't have to pay to watch that. Burnley, won again. So they're now starting to hit their stride, which is really good to see. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Burnley win in this game on Friday night. Right, moving on Saturday, it's Blackburn versus Bristol City. Blackburn beat Blackpool by 1-0, and Bristol City beat Huddersfield by 2-0.
Yes, and the beauty, as we mentioned off camera before starting, of this fixture list is we're recording on deadline day. So we have no idea if the midweek match winner is going to be at Blackburn come Saturday. But all the signs so far in the day suggest he will be. It was important for them to get back to winning ways. It wasn't a great game, but they did have the better of it, and they probably deserved to nick the victory. And to be fair, I know that Huddersfield are a poor side, but Bristol City did really well. Another comfortable win. And we've mentioned this before. Going forward, they've got a very good side this year. Semenyo's back and scoring. Naki Wells is a good striker. They've got so much proven Championship quality. It's just whether against the better teams they can keep the goals out of the back. I'm not sure where I'm edging with this one. I was tempted to sit on the fence again, but because they've got home advantage and because they've got rid of that losing run, I'm going to go for Blackburn to nick it just. But this is a game that for me is settled by a goal either way. I'm going 2-1 to Blackburn.
I'm going to go for Championship fate scoreline of 1-1. It literally depends on if Breton Diaz stays. Pretty, very good performance midweek against a poor Huddersfield side. I'm going to Championship fate scoreline of 1-1. All right, Luton versus Wigan at Kenilworth Road. Luton beat Cardiff by 2-1, and Wigan drew with West Brom 1-1.
Yeah, we mentioned the Wigan game already. It wasn't a great one on the eye, was it? Let's be brutally honest. It was a pretty poor game. And we know what the blueprint's going to be for Wigan. We saw it with Preston. We saw it with Birmingham. Teams have come and sat behind the ball at Luton, and it's worked. The reason that Luton were able to beat Cardiff in midweek, the reason they won at Swansea, the away game before, is because they're teams that had a lot of the ball and came out and played against them. And Luton are great on the counter. But they haven't found the way to break down that side that sits deep defensively yet. Haven't got a home win yet this season, actually in the relegation zone on early home form. So it'll be interesting to see how we get on. Hopefully, I'll see a more entertaining game than the home game so far. I feel if Luton get an early goal, they win comfortably. And they are starting to hit a bit of better form. 3 decent performances in a row. I'm going to go for 1-0. I think they'll find a goal from somewhere, and I don't think Wigan have got a big goal threat. So I'm going 1-0 Luton. I'm going to regret that.
I'm going to go 2-0 Luton. It was a good performance again. I'm starting to see the old Luton back from last season. It was a good away performance. As Nathan Jones liked to say it, game changers came on and they've made a difference. Fred on the right, crossed in for Freeman, and Osho at the far post from a brief free kick. So The squad's getting used, and it's obviously people getting the goals. It's the only person I really want to score now. He's Adebayo, and he hasn't scored yet, but he's getting there. I think this could be the one. 2-0 Luton. I'm going to go for in this game. Right, speaking of Luton's opponents from Tuesday, Cardiff, they're away at Millwall. Millwall obviously lost again, 3 straight defeats now for them, and Cardiff lost as well.
Yeah, it's been a really weird start for Millwall. Obviously, early in the season, did pick up some points, but were a little bit susceptible at the back. Now they can't score for love nor money. It's a very, very strange start to the season. Cardiff haven't been a huge amount better. They've not had a big goal threat in any game, really. And look, I know they've been fairly solid at the back, but if you can't score goals, you're not going to win games at this level. I feel it's the one where Millwall have to come to form. I feel like it's a game that last season they would have won. And if they can just find their killer instinct, I think it's a comfortable win because there's not a lot that have impressed me with Cardiff so far. So I'm going to go for Millwall to nick it by 2-0. Their classic home score from last season. And I think if they can get the win, it could be the springboard to their real start to the season now.
Well, Millwall struggling to score. In those 3 defeats, they haven't scored at all. So that's a very worrying sign. Cardiff, I wasn't really particularly watching the extended highlights. I wasn't particularly impressed with Cardiff. I'll be brutally honest. I don't see a plan for Cardiff going forward. So, as I said earlier about Steve Morrison, focus on your team. Don't worry about any celebrations. Your team lost. I'm going to go for 1-1 draw. I can't separate these sides at the moment. It's from a Millwall point of view, it's disappointing, but I'm going to go 1-1. Right. Norwich City versus Coventry City. Norwich beat Birmingham 2-1 late on, and Coventry actually played a game at home for the first time. And another team that couldn't score against Preston, they actually lost 1-0 to them.
Yeah, dare I say on the Norwich front, a moment that you would associate with champions, perhaps a late goal, a late winner, a comeback from 1-0 down. Look, they're starting to find form and they're up to second place. And actually, the top 2 of the championship right now is how I predicted it to finish. So let's hope it stays the same. For Coventry, really disappointing. And you mentioned it. Are they going to find that home form straight away when you're only playing every sort of 10 days or so? It is very frustrating. And it was a very even game. It could have come down to anything. In the end, Preston found one of their rare goals. They are by far the tightest defence in the championship, breaking a record for the 3rd time now, 7 games in a row at the start of the season. They haven't conceded. And Coventry just couldn't break them down. So lots of concerning signs for them. In their away games this season, they've let in goals galore. And Norwich at home, look, they're starting to find efficient, consistent, a bit like under Daniel Farke last time in the championship. Nothing special, but finding the results. I'm going to go for them to win again. 2-1, nothing spectacular, but I can't see anything other than a home win.
No, not can I, to be honest. I'm going to go 1-0 to Norwich. Yeah, good win in the end. They had to grind that victory, and you have to give Birmingham a little bit of credit on that, considering how poor Birmingham have been. You have to give them a little bit of credit because they had to really grind them down to get that late winner. Coventry, I can't say much about Coventry. It's not a criticism or anything. It's just been start, and they really need to get those running games. They need to catch up. I'm going to go Norwich to nick it by 1-0. Right, Preston versus Birmingham. Preston, not only they kept a clean sheet, but they actually scored a goal and won the game. They won 1-0 at Coventry, and Birmingham, which I said about Norwich, they lost 2-1.
Yeah, Preston remain the only unbeaten side in the championship. The only side yet to concede a goal. Look, they've been rock solid defensively. I would hate to have a season ticket or be following them home and away because, God, it's not been exciting to watch. But it's keeping them in the mix, and that's all you can ask for. They desperately need a striker on deadline day. Birmingham, as you said, pretty good, resolute defensive display against Norwich. I know they faded towards the end of the match, but it was a decent effort. Talk about Talif Chong going back today. Obviously, in glimpses, he was brilliant last season. But for Birmingham now, it is, after a good win against Huddersfield, a long run without a win. 3 defeats on the bounce, 4 in 5. And when you've looked in there, I know the Norwich one, not so much, but Rotherham, Wigan, Cardiff, games against teams you expect to be around them. So I have to go for Preston. I'm going to go for 1-0 again because there's no evidence that Preston are capable of scoring 2. And you can't bank on them not to keep a clean sheet on current form. I know they're going to let one in eventually, but you have to predict a 0 against Preston at the minute.
With Preston, you know that they've got all these clean sheets and then they're going to get spanked.
Yeah.
Like 4 goals. It won't happen this game. I'm going to tell you that now. It won't happen this game. I've jinxed it now for Preston. And
get your money on 4-1 Birmingham.
I'm going to 4-1 Birmingham. That's going to happen, people. No, I'm going to go 0-0. But it could be 4-1 Birmingham. Preston, to be fair to them, 7 clean sheets in a row is absolutely fantastic, and you have incredible, but it's boring. End of the day, as a defender, I love it. But I want my team to win as well. 2 wins out of 7 is not really good, but still unbeaten. So there's positive and negatives to that. I'm going 0-0. This could be a really bad game. I really do think that. Right, Rotherham v Watford. Rotherham lost 3-0 to Sunderland, and Watford beat Middlesbrough by 2-1.
Yes, thank you in the 93rd minute for the perfect score to Watford. Not
Thanks,
often
Watford.
I'm going to say that this season.
That cost me 3 points.
But look, it was a very even game against 2 of the sides that most people think are going to be in the top 6, and they nicked it, which, look, Watford haven't really produced many brilliant, convincing performances this season, or any, in fact, but they've won games, they're right up in the mix, and they've only lost 1 of their 7. So you've got to say fair play to them. And Rotherham, look, I hope that this isn't going to lead to the criticism again, because we get a lot of stick for our views on Rotherham, but it is a factual point that the teams they've beaten were in the bottom third last year. They've gone away to Sunderland, and they shouldn't be disheartened by the result. It was a raucous atmosphere for a new manager. It was a team that were willing to prove a point after their old manager had walked out on them. Look, Sunderland were at their best. So Rotherham, dust yourselves down. When you're playing those home games, try and nick points like this one. And then when you're playing those teams at the bottom, win them. And you've got a great chance of staying up. For this game, it's going to be a very tough ask. Of course, we know that João Pedro's now staying at Watford, but what's going to happen with Sark, we still don't know as we're recording this just after lunch.
Well, Danny Rose is gone.
Danny Rose has gone.
Danny Rose, I didn't know you were still there.
I'm going to bank on both of them to still be there. And as a result, as much as it pains me, no, I'm not. Championship's favourite scoreline. I was going to go for Watford to nick it, but I'm sticking 1-1.
I would love Rotherham to get a result in this game, but I'm sorry, Rotherham fans. I'm going to go for Watford to win by 3-1. Yeah, that was a poor result against Sunderland, but they were always going to lose that one because of the new managerial bounce, and it's Tony Mowbray. So that was always going to happen. The cards. Watford, another good victory for them late on against a team that should be up there, but they're not at the moment, and we'll have to give them a bit of criticism right at the end. But 3-1 Watford. All right, next up, it's Swansea v QPR. Swansea drew 1-0 with Stoke, and QPR very good home victory, 3-1 against Hull.
Yeah, the goals are starting to flow for QPR. They're starting to look good in front of goal. And look, let's be fair, they have had a bit of a rise in the last few games. And I know we're frustrated against Rotherham. If they can just sort out that defensive record, they'll be fine. No clean sheet in the last 6 games. That's the one area that's got to improve under Michael Beale. And Swansea, I mean, I'll leave it to you. Another stoppage time equaliser. They've already lost, 2 winning positions from stoppage time now. 3 goals, 2 against Millwall, wasn't it, earlier in the season? 1 now against Stoke. And I know, again, a difficult atmosphere, nearly 20,000 in for Alex Neil's first game for Stoke, but Swansea and game management just don't go together. So that's now 4 without a win for them. Both teams can't really defend, concede tons of goals. I mean, if anything, we should get a thriller. So I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go 2 apiece.
I'm not going to go 2 apiece. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for QPR. On good form, I made 2 good victories in the last week. Watford and Hull, 2 teams that have actually started quite well. Slowly gone under the radar, QPR. I think we will question Michael Beale. Like, was he going to be good enough on his own as a coach? At the moment, it's not been a bad start for them. So you have to give him a little bit of praise. Swansea is Swansea, and Swansea is Swansea. That's all I'm going to say.
The less said, the better.
Less said, the better. And I'm going to go for QPR win 2-1. Right, Reading versus Stoke. Reading back to normal, lost 4-0 away at Sheffield United, and Stoke, as we said, just drew 1-0 in Alex Neil's first game against Swansea.
Yeah, and what a TV pick, by the way, Sky. Can't wait for this one. I say sarcastically.
Is that this TV game?
It's the 12 o'clock TV game on Sunday. What a way to start Super Sunday, people. Right, it's going to be a thriller now, isn't it? But at least they've got Alex Neil's first away game. I guess that's the positive for it.
Oh, the timing.
Yes. A late goal, obviously, for Stoke spared his blushes. It is now 2 unbeaten because they won in at the weekend under caretaker charge. And it's so tight in the Championship, a couple of wins and they're right up there. I know you say about Reading back to normal because their 2 defeats have been 4-0 in the last 5 games, but there's no shame in losing at Sheffield United. A bit like the Rotherham one in midweek. It's not going to define their season. Even the most optimistic fan, realistically, wouldn't have expected them to stay up there. So if they can continue to win their home games, which they've been virtually invincible at the start of this season, then Reading are going to be fine. And against sides that finished mid-table last year, there's no better opportunity. I actually think it's going to take a little while for Alex Neil with Stoke. So I'm going to back Paul Ince at home again. Look, there's nothing to suggest he's going to drop points. They don't concede goals at home. I'm going to go 1-0 Reading. Stoke will take a little bit longer to get going.
It'll take time to get squad. Forgetting the Sunderland result, same thing really. It still take Mowbray time. It was just a good night in the office with a big crowd. Reading, all right. Sheffield are a very good side. We know they're a very good side, and that result did not surprise me. That and that's not a bad thing. It's not a negative on Reading. It's just Sheffield are really, really good. So it happens. It happens in the Championship. You get these games. So it's nothing to be too negative about. If they lose 4-0 again this weekend, there's okay, here we go again. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. Right, 3 to go. Huddersfield v Blackpool. Huddersfield lost again, and Blackpool lost.
I guess Huddersfield's game was a bit more even, but they're so bad at the back. And I know I've said it from the start of the season, but I'm still so worried about them. Blackburn were the better side. After 2-3-alls, I guess a positive is they only let in one, but they just can't put both together, Blackpool. They're either a goal threat and concede tons, or they lose 1-0. And that's the frustration for them at the minute. I really don't know where to go with this. I think it's a huge game. I mean, from my preseason predictions, I'm pretty sure this is 21st.
This is your relegation.
22nd.
Yeah, this is your relegation 6-pointer.
So this is my 6-pointer to decide the final relegation spot. Oh, Huddersfield have picked up a couple of good points at home, but I'm going to go for Blackpool to win. I think they'll nick it. I'm going to go for 1-0 because when Blackpool are at their best defensively, they're resolute. And I think Huddersfield have got a ricket in them at the back. So 1-0 Blackpool, but again, another one that could go either way.
I don't know this one. I'm going to go Huddersfield to nick. Sorry, I'm going to go Blackpool to nick it by 2-1. It depends on Josh Bowler. If he stays there come weekend, they might be all right. But as I'm reading at the moment, he's on his way to Nottingham Forest. Like every other player is going to Nottingham Forest.
Don't go.
He's on his way to Nottingham Forest for £4 million. So we'll have to see that one. Obviously, we don't know. But if he stays, happy days. If he doesn't, I'm a bit worried about where they're going to get the goals from or any threat. But Huddersfield, not good. Not good at all. I'm going to go Blackpool to win by 2-1. Last game on Sunday is Hull versus Sheffield United. Hull lost 3-1 at QPR and Sheffield United won 4-0.
Yeah, Sheffield United were brilliant. And the last few home games they have been. On the road, it's been back-to-back draws, but against Luton and Borough, who were last season's playoff contenders. So I don't know what to read into that. And for Hull's 2 batterings on the road recently, they've been brilliant at home so far this season. The crowd's got behind them in a way that we've not seen for a number of years. And I know the only worry is they're conceding goals. That's 10 in 3 games now, but they're still winning the home games. Look, if we're going on recent form, you'd have to say a draw here, but I'm going to go for Sheffield United to win because I've said it before. I predicted them as champions. I think they're the best side in the division. And if they play like they did in midweek, they will win comfortably. I don't think it'll be as thrilling as some of the recent Hull games. I'm going to go 2-1 to the visitors, Sheffield United.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to Sheffield United. McBurney 2-2 now, so that's really positive for him. If you thought the first goal was a fluke, but get 2-2 is brilliant for him. That confidence is going to be skyrocketing now, so that's really pleasing to see. Hull are very good at home. Sheffield United, like you said, last 2 games were draws against tough oppositions, obviously going to Middlesbrough and to Luton. This is another tough game for them as well, so I think this is going to be a late 2-0 victory. And the final game is a big one in the Northeast. It's Middlesbrough versus Sunderland. Middlesbrough, very poor start for them again. Obviously, another defeat, 2-1 at Watford, and Sunderland. First game charged for Tony Mowbray, and 3 points and 3 goals.
Yeah, a dream start. Obviously, people can see our views on the appointment in the eye above, but it was a really, really solid performance. The crowd was what you'd expect it to be. And look, we said it at the start of the season. It doesn't matter what manager they've got. Sunderland are going to be very hard to beat at home. Even the Norwich game, they gave as good as they got. Away from home, probably a different story for them first year up. We've seen other teams come up recently and struggle on the road. And Borough is traditionally a tough place to go. And even their last 2 home games, they beat Swansea, they drew against Sheffield United. And the last 2 games against Swansea and Watford, they've been nothing games. One have gone a goal against them, one a goal for. And as a result, I don't know what to predict. They have to pick up soon. but I think Mowbray's going to get a little bit more of a bounce. I know you said it might take a bit of time. I'm going to sit on the fence with this one. I'm going to finish not with a Championship's favourite scoreline, but another thrilling draw. I'm going to go for 2-2. Monday night football's going to be class.
I'm going to Sunderland to nick it by a goal to nil. Middlesbrough really bad. Really bad. And that's really surprising for Chris Wilder's side to be really bad to start with. I don't know where they're going to get the next win. I really know. This is going to be a very tough game Monday night. Under the lights at the Riverside. Packed house, I would think. So I could think Sunderland will make more noise than Middlesbrough. I really do. But I'm going to go for them to nick it by a goal to nil. Just because of Sunderland will probably make more noise.
And their 100 new signings.
And the 100 new signs on which Alex Neil couldn't get, which is a conspiracy. Let's have a quick recap what we predicted for match day 8 in the Championship. And Cody hasn't gone for any team to score more than 2.
Oh, wow.
A couple of 2-2s in there, a couple of draws as well, like 1-1s. I've only gone for the rivalry of Watford to score more than 2. I think they're going to get 3 away at Rotherham. And those are predictions for match day 8. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comments and give us your predictions for this weekend's action. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at HonestFootball3. And we'll see you next time.